So what's the root of achievement? What makes a difference? Why do some people achieve so much? Is there a family background, wealth, opportunity, high morals, or maybe the absence of hard work? Not really, none of those things. There's been people who lacked those items but still became successful. The difference between the average person and those who achieve much more is their perception of and response to failure. How people see failure and deal with it impacts every aspect of their lives. Failure is really just a matter of pride. People don't work hard because, in their conceit, they imagine they'll succeed while ever making an effort. People assume they'll magically lose weight one day when they finally decide to exercise for a week. People assume they'll find a great girlfriend if they wait a long time or wait long enough in their house. People believe that they'll wake up one day and find themselves rich. And in Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell, he goes over the principles for overcoming failure and become the type of person and achiever you always wanted to be. And your first step to failing forward is to realize there is one major difference between average people and achieving people. Think about a recent setback you experienced. How did you respond? No matter how difficult your problems were, the key to overcoming them doesn't lie in changing your circumstances. It's in changing yourself. That means taking responsibility instead of blaming others, learning from each mistake rather than repeating them, and knowing failure is only a part of progress instead of never expecting to fail again. People who fail forward see their errors or negative experiences as regular part of life and learn from them as they move on. One of the greatest problems people have with failure is that they're too quick to judge isolated situations in their lives and label themselves as failures. Instead, they need to keep the bigger picture in mind, because when you really think about it, you're seriously the only person who can really label what you are or what you do as a failure. Growing up, I thought that failure came in a moment. The best example I could think of is taking a test. If you got enough, it meant that you failed. But I've come to realize that failure is a process. If you flunk a test, it doesn't mean that you failed a one-time event you can never do again. That F only shows that you neglected the process of studying before you took that test. Did you know that entrepreneurs almost never get their first business off the ground successfully, or their second, or even the third? According to Tulane University business professor Lisa Almos, the average for entrepreneurs is 3.8 failures before they finally make it in business. They recognize that 3 steps forward and 2 steps back still equals 1 step forward. And as a result, they overcome the average person and become achievers. And your second step, the failing forward, is to learn a new definition of failure. So how can you redefine failure and develop a different perspective about failure and success? And don't be angry, but it's really as simple as just keep making mistakes. If you're playing basketball and you miss a basket, are you going to tell yourself automatically that you're never playing basketball again? No, you're simply going to pick up the ball and try again. And if a football team loses a game, are they going to retire and never play again? No, they're simply going to train harder and try next time. And the key is to tell yourself, I'm not a failure, I failed at doing something. Trust me, there's a big difference between the two. Arthur James Allen states, a man is literally what he thinks. His character be the complete sum of all his thoughts. And that's why it's important to make sure you keep your thinking on the right track. When achievers fail, they see it as a momentary event, not a lifelong epidemic. All achievers have in common the ability to bounce back after an error, mistake, or failure happens. People who don't give up keep trying because they don't base their self-worth off their performance. Instead, they have an internally based self-image. Rather than saying, I'm a failure, they say, I missed that one, or I made a mistake. And the best part of making mistakes is the ability to try again and again until you finally get it right. And your third step, the failing forward, is to remove the you from failure. Let's face it, failure can be very painful. Seeing part of your vision fail and fall flat really hurts. And for many people, that pain of failure leads to the fear of failure, and the fear of failure creates inaction. And because a person doesn't act, he doesn't receive pain from that personal experience and that situation, which is the key to learning and overcoming future obstacles. A fear of failure can also result in self-pity, excuses, and misused energy. But you can't avoid fear, and you can't wait for motivation to get you going either. To conquer fear, you have to feel the fear and take action anyway. If I see a girl I like, and I know that I have to approach a girl eventually sometime in my life if I want to get married and all that other stuff, I have to take action. So rather than just waiting for the 7 planets to align itself before I do it, I take action and see what happens. Sometimes it goes well, and sometimes it doesn't. The idea of motivation is just a trap. Just do it. And after you start doing the thing, that's when the motivation comes into play and makes it easy to keep doing it over and over. Motivation is just a byproduct. To overcome fear, you have to be willing to recognize that you will spend most of your life making mistakes. The mistakes I've made talking to girls was saying the wrong thing, showing little energy, or not noticing the fact that they had an MMA fighter as a boyfriend. The longer you remain inactive, the harder it is to get started. If you could take action and keep making mistakes, you gain the experience you need to go forward. And your 4th step, the failing forward, is to take action and reduce your fear. If you always do what you've always done, then you always get what you've always gotten. Oh man, that was a tongue twisting there. Anyway, people on the freeway never think it's their fault. And many people make mistakes but refuse to ever admit them. They see every obstacle as somebody else's fault. To escape this mindset, simply admit to your mistakes. Open your eyes and accept complete responsibility for your current wrong actions and attitude. Once you begin thinking this way, you can change. Which means you're required to be more optimistic. But let's face it, not everyone is naturally optimistic. Some people see the glass half empty rather than half full. But you can become optimistic. It just requires learning how to be more content with yourself. We're often discouraged to think that way because we're raised to believe we want a bigger house, a fast car, or more money. Being content doesn't mean being satisfied with a bad situation. It simply means having a good attitude as you work a way out of it. See solutions to every problem. Believe in yourself and hold on to hope. You must add positive action to have a positive attitude. And the last step, the failing forward, is to say goodbye to yesterday and change yourself. We can change our whole life and the attitude of those around us by simply changing ourselves. Every battle that we have is waged within ourselves, and people fight against their own flaws and failures. People try to deny their own weaknesses. Instead, acknowledge your flaws and find something you're good at. Don't use your flaws as an excuse to quit. Move forward or sideways. Know who you are as a person. Next, work on your strengths constantly. You can reach your potential tomorrow if you dedicate yourself today. And if you're not happy with your current job, family situation, or life, look at first at what you could change in yourself before trying to alter your circumstances. If you know who you are, make the changes you must in order to learn and grow. A thing people like to tell themselves is that as soon as they become successful, that's when they start helping people. But many people often struggle with continuous failure because they think of no one but themselves. They constantly worry about what other people may think of them. They scramble to make sure no one gets the better of them. And they continuously focus on protecting their turf. So get over yourself. If you think you have a selfish habit that's preventing you from achieving your goals, you may need to change and improve your approach to success. Truly think about other people rather than yourself. We think negatively when we're self-absorbed. Most people are too insecure to give anything away. And most people who focus all their attention on themselves feel that they're missing something in their lives. So they're constantly trying to find whatever it could be so they can get it back. It's like a basketball team. It's impossible for a team to win a game if only one person is constantly hogging the ball because they're too afraid to give it away. And when people think about you, you want them to say, "My life was better because of that person," instead of "my life was worse." So if you're at work, try to make your coworkers or employees look good instead of making sure you take all the credit yourself. Listen to people and ask them what matters. Give more than what you receive from a person because your giving is truly the highest form of living. And that's Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more book reviews, leave a comment below, like, and subscribe.